All right, everybody, I am back from vacation. Excited to be back, and I'm already in trouble again. Yeah, they're going to cancel me for, I think, the 16th time this year. But this time, I'm telling you, I have really kicked a hornet's nest. I said something that's completely unsayable, and I should apologize for saying it. I said, Israel should give us back our pedophiles. Crazy. You probably don't even know what it is I actually said. You just know that everybody's disavowing the thing, and it kind of shows that Israel has a lot of power. We're going to talk about that. Plus, later on in the show, I have to give it to my girl Lizzo. Have you seen this? She was trending all over X because she has been working out and she's lost a ton of weight and she looks great. So I got to give her credit. And we're going to discuss the Trump campaign, which has made a great decision by hiring Corey Lewandowski again. That's what we have coming up on Candace. Man, oh man, where do we begin? All right, so here's the thing. I am so blessed and so grateful that I have my own platform and I get to go directly to you and nothing is funneled out. And we've been on this journey, obviously. The show has been tremendously successful, and that is really because of you guys listening every single day. And you've noticed the show is different because we're just doing a lot more learning, right? We're talking about topics that are, generally speaking, forbidden. We're not sure why they're forbidden, and people are learning. And I think that that's the reason that the media is upset, because I don't have a handler, so to speak. So I want to talk to you guys today. You know, I've given you my book list on locals of what everybody should be reading. But in terms of what's happening right now on social media, it is such a teaching moment. And I want to speak to you guys about really what is pedophile philosophy and what is also pedophile psychology. And I say this because I have read this incredible book. If you were one of the 1.5 million people that have watched the X space that I did with the Tate brothers and Dan Bilzerian, you'll know that I mentioned this book that's on my list, which every single person must read. Bear with me if you heard this spiel on it. But the book is entitled The Assault on Truth. That is what's happening right now in this world, The Assault on Truth. And it is written by a Jewish man. It's important that he is Jewish. His name is Jeffrey Masson. I believe he's Australian, actually. Like I said, essentially, his backstory is he graduated Harvard and he was a psychoanalyst, got involved with the Sigmund Freud Archive Center, and really hit it off with Sigmund Freud's daughter, Anna. And she had decided to select him to be the director. And the next up, you're going to be the director of this amazing archive center. You're going to have access to all the Sigmund Freud files. We start crawling through these files and realizes, you know what, I should learn to speak German. And so I can understand what all these notes are from Sigmund Freud. And when he did that, he learned German and he went through the notes. He realized that Sigmund Freud was covering for pedophiles extensively. He could not believe that Sigmund Freud was covering for pedophiles. And this explains this big pivot that Sigmund Freud had. At first, when Sigmund Freud went out to Vienna, he was meeting with all of these Jewish women who were saying that they were raped by their fathers. And when these women, who were obviously victims, they were adults, but they said they were raped when they were children, he found their allegations to be credible. And it was thanks in large part, he said, to how they were reacting when they were telling the story. He could sense that it was a real trauma. And he wrote about this and he released a paper. And then all of his friends, all of his psychiatrist friends at this Vienna Institute of Psychology basically rejected him for having produced this theory. And then he did a complete 180 and he said, never mind, people that say that they are raped by their parents are in fact suffering from some various unknown attraction to their parents. So actually, the child is attracted to their father. Really horrific. So this guy comes across this and realizes that psychoanalysis was created as a way to quite literally systemically gaslight people who were raped. And Sigmund Freud knew they were being raped. He actually speaks in this book about how he even went down to the morgue and was able to see the bodies of some children who were raped and who were murdered, super heavy topic. But he, despite this, did this complete 180. And so this book, when he did this and he read the archive, Jeffrey was like, this, obviously the psychoanalysis community is going to thank me so much for having released this. And boy, oh boy, was he wrong. I just want to read you this directly from the book in terms of what happened when he tried to tell the truth, because as I said, it is a lesson in terms of what is happening right now. He said, the negative response to my paper alerted me to the political overtones of my research. The truth or falsity of my research was not questioned, only the wisdom of having made the material available to the public. When a series of articles in the New York Times in August of 1981 reported on my findings, the resulting wave of protests culminated in a demand for my removal from the archives. I was dismissed, to the evident relief of the analytic community. The reason offered was that I had shown poor judgment in expressing opinions before a non-professional audience. So this guy literally lost his job for having revealed something that he thought people would go, oh my gosh, thank goodness you revealed this. And obviously we need to realize that psychoanalysis is really just gaslighting, right? And so what's really interesting now, because I've read this book and I'm learning more about the fraud that Sigmund Freud actually was, honestly, in the future, I think people will call him Sigmund Fraud. I'm very aware now of these media tactics. I'm very aware when the media, when you say something that is a truth, they just assault you and they don't actually debunk anything that you've said. And this is essentially what has happened to me over the last 48 hours. It's incredible. They're giving me what I refer to as the wacko jacko treatment, right? Because this is their thing. They say to the woman, you're crazy, you're not actually telling the truth. And so I just want to remind you, by the way, the wacko jacko thing, here's some headlines of what they did to Michael Jackson when he went up against Sony and he was winning against Sony. They suddenly came out and said, wacko, jacko, backo. Look at jacko, sex raid, jacko on a taco, wacko, jacko. We all remember this and we all believed it, of course, because it's hard for us to imagine that the media would tell a lie this strong and this passionately and label somebody crazy simply because they were protecting their reputation or simply trying to reveal a certain truth. But this has been going on since a pedophile, which Sigmund Freud was, created this system of psychoanalysis. So I actually call this now pedopsychology. When people do this, as opposed to responding to what you're saying or refuting your claims, when they just go out and start calling you names or calling you crazy, it's just pedophile psychology. Just call it pedopsych. So what actually happened? What was the hornet's nest that I actually kicked? Well, over the weekend, the ADL decided to issue a tweet celebrating a dead pedophile and murderer. That individual's name, and I can show you that tweet, his name was Leo Frank. They tweeted this: tomorrow marks 109 years since Leo Frank was lynched by a hate-filled mob in Georgia after being falsely accused and unjustly convicted of murder in a trial marred by anti-Semitism. And they then lie and said that he was finally pardoned in 1986. And they lie only in that it signals to the public that he was not actually a pedophile, and he was not actually convicted for pedophilia and murder. The reality is that after 80 years of thuggery, the ADL got some governor in Atlanta to say, okay, well, we'll pardon him. Okay, so they're not saying that he's not guilty, but they're basically saying that he's not alive and he can't appeal the decision. This took 80 years of thuggery, but they refused to say that he was not guilty because the evidence was so overwhelming. And so I was so upset about this because it was a young Catholic girl that was murdered, Mary Fagan. And here is a picture of Mary Fagan. She was 13 years old. The power dynamic there was that Leo Frank was her boss. He ran the pencil factory that she worked at, and she was a low-wage employee. She was very poor, and all of the girls testified against him, said that he was super creepy, and he was unbelievably wealthy and related to banking families in America and overseas. And so I started speaking about this issue very frustrated at the fact that the ADL was actually born to defend a pedophile, right? And this is the ADL that has a ton of power in our government. This is the ADL that is constantly tweeting at people, calling them anti-Semitic all the time. They launched their entire organization because previously to being the ADL, they were B'nai B'rith, which was a Freemason organization in America. And then they created the ADL to defend Leo Frank. This is a part of their legacy, and they can't get rid of it. And that is why people were going wild on Twitter when they had the audacity to tweet this and to pretend that this very guilty man was in fact not guilty. And I started to do a live on that because I am so frustrated with the fact that there are examples of clear-cut pedophilia. And you will see this weird thing where people will defend it because they have been so abused by the media into believing that if they don't defend it, well, what's going to happen? No, what happened to him was an act of anti-Semitism. No, it was not. Like it was nothing to do with anti-Semitism. In fact, when he was convicted, 2 of the judges, and they all convicted him, not a single person found him not guilty. That's how overwhelming the evidence was. But 2 of the jury members, 2 of the jury members were actually Jewish. So it's a nonsense. It's just been a propaganda campaign for decades to try to effectively Men in Black society, just like, phew, memory erased, and we're going to create the new future. And so I did this live speaking about that and how, we have to be brave in the face of pedophilia. Like, I am a mother, and you should never feel that because of your identity, like I should never feel that I have to stand up and defend a drug dealer. I don't. A drug addict. I don't, on the basis of the fact that they have the same complexion as me. You know that because think about the firestorm that I went through when I stood up against the George Floyd narrative, and people were going, Candace, that could be you. That could be your children. You're Black. I said, no, I reject that narrative. The things that he did in his past are contemptible, and I am not going to allow this person to become an idol in the future. The same thing should apply to Jewish America. You do not have to defend criminals. You do not have to defend pedophiles. You do not have to defend any person across the world on the basis of somebody trying to basically pigeonhole you into your identity. But then I offered a little more information, and this is really important, speaking further to that. First and foremost is the fact that Israel, as an example, for people that feel this pull to defend this country on the basis of the fact that you're Jewish, Israel right now is a safe haven for pedophiles, okay? I don't care where you stand on any political issue, if you're a Democrat or Republican, we should all be outraged that we are sending our dollars overseas to a country that is protecting pedophiles. So we're talking about men like Leo Frank who rape little girls, know that they can go, if they're Jewish, they can go to Israel and they'll be provided a safe haven. And I'm going to show you 2 articles that are going to substantiate that claim, because people will say, what are you talking? No, it's 1000% true. Here is an article, CBS News, how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. Here's another article, the Jerusalem Post, tens of thousands of pedophiles operate in Israel every year. So what we all should be agreeing on, sensibly, is that is wrong. We should all be on the same team when it comes to standing up to pedophilia. And so what happened thereafter, I did this live, and I then took it a step further by confirming to people that the problem here is that there is a religious cult that is known as Frankism. Okay, you can look this up, look up Jacob Frank and Frankism. They pretend to be Jews. They are not Jews, okay? They practice incest and pedophilia as a sacramental right. I brought to my audience the fact, the indisputable fact, the fact that I learned from Gershom Scholem, an Israeli historian, that Leo Frank, just so you guys know, is a descendant, a direct descendant of Jacob Frank. So it is very likely that Leo Frank was not a Jew, okay? This is not a person who followed the Torah. Leo Frank was very likely a Frankist. It is a fact that Frankists made it to America. You can look up Louis Brandeis, the Supreme Court justice, who they say, the first Jewish Supreme... No, he was a Frankist. Check it out his Wikipedia. He kept a picture of Ava Frank, Jacob Frank's daughter, who he committed incest with, who he had sex with, a picture of Ava Frank on his desk. You can research this. So the issue that we have are people who are satanic have infiltrated all of the faiths. I have been talking about this on this podcast. And so after saying this and calling upon people to stand up to pedophiles, to stand up to what I believe is an operation of Frankists and sickos who are using this sort of pedopsychology to get people upset and to gaslight people forgetting when they start to recognize this truth. When I made that call and said, hey guys, we need to stand up to this, I was smeared and I was lied to. A group known as Jewish on Campus, who, by the way, I should mention, have ties to Louis Brandeis's Human Rights Center. I don't know how you could be a person that is a Frankist who also has a Human Rights Center named after you. It's shocking to me. They wrote this on Instagram, just straight up told a lie about what I said in that live. They accused me of claiming that Judaism Judaism. This week on the Candace Owens Show, that's not even a show anymore, the Candace Owens Show claimed in a widely anti-Semitic statement that Judaism is a pedophile-centric religion that worships Baphomet, believes in demons and child sacrifice, and is the reason that we have the circumstances that we are in today. I never said this. This is just this is like just full on make up a lie. And that's why they didn't include the clip. I commented and said, take this down. They did not take it down. So I had to get my lawyer to send them a cease and desist. And then they took it down. But of course, by then the damage is done. People start tagging. They believe this because everyone looks on the internet and they just accept that. Why would anybody lie? Why would anybody lie? Candace must have gone on there and said Judaism is for pedophiles. Of course I didn't say that. Why would I say that? What is the Torah? I am a Christian. Aren't those books in my Bible? But they do this because they know that they can seize people by this fearfulness. And that fearfulness comes from what we are conditioned in school to believe is a threat to our existence. So for Black people, it's slavery. For Jewish people, it's the Holocaust. And so what can happen is that before you know it, you're defending something. You don't even know what it is that you're defending, right? There is nobody watching this show that disagrees, I hope, other than maybe Frankists, that disagrees with the fact that any nation that we are giving money to should not have a right to harbor pedophiles. That is a sensible position to have. It is not only sensible, it is a righteous position to have. So why did they try to smear me for that? And so what then happened, of course, is, and I am very clear on this, like I can give you tons of reasons, but number one, if you defend pedophiles, I cannot support you. I cannot support you. I cannot support anything that you're doing. It'd be very simple for you to let us extradite our pedophiles and to not give them a haven. I can't imagine being a parent to somebody whose child was raped at the age of 7, and you find out that the person who raped your child is in a country that you have to give tax dollars to, and you can't access that person. You know that's wrong. I know that's wrong. It is okay to stand up to pedophilia. So anyways, what happened was, since I exposed that there's a Frankist cult that has infiltrated all of the faiths, and that is a fact, an absolute fact, and because they can't dispute the facts, they just go with, Candace is crazy. I'm not kidding. They started saying that I was having some sort of a mental breakdown, trying to pretend that I said this about Judaism. And you had all sorts of people condemning something that I never said, or frankly, not even saying what I said, because it's easier that way if you're just super dramatic, like Sarah Carter, who is somebody who, I don't know, does some stuff for Fox News. She starts with, I'm not kidding, this is her tweet, my statement on @Real Candace Owens. I've known Candace for some time and admired her work on Blexit and as a valued voice in the conservative movement. Let me stop you right there. I do not know Sarah. Okay. I've met Sarah many moons ago, but just to be clear, I haven't even seen her since before I was married and had children. That's how long ago it's been since I've known Sarah. But she's doing this because she thinks that it's going to weight the statement, and because somebody has told her to do this, because what's likely happening right now is that people that do protect pedophiles are going to do that by making people who don't protect pedophiles be outraged by a statement that they don't even disagree with. She then wrote, sadly, something seems to have gone wrong, so that she is now engaging in and spreading the most vile and vicious Jew-hating conspiracy theories, some of them dating back to the depths of ignorance from the Middle Ages. Again, she has not presented what is that I said that was wrong. She has not presented anything. She's not refuting a point, because as Jeffrey Masson has pointed out in this book, it's not about refutation. It's about simply smearing, about simply libeling, and then being angry that the person presented a truth that they don't want the public to be aware of. Then it got even crazier, right? So then they started the she just needs to check into rehab. She needs to take a break. Like she's wacko jacko status. And of course, that's never going to sell. It's just not going to sell. It worked on Michael Jackson. It worked on Kanye. It's just not going to work. I have a 5-day-a-week show. If I'm in some sort of a psychosis, the first people to recognize that would likely be the listeners of the show. They would see that. I'm a mother with 3 children. The show is running every single day. They're not going to buy this, but they sure are going to try to sell it. And so now they start the pedopsychology, like just trying to basically say, I have to analyze her psychosis. This guy writes this: Candace Owens admits her mom was a drunk and hints she probably has fetal alcohol syndrome. Explains her small frontal head, absent nasal bridge, and her wide-spaced eyes. Her mom is Angela Owens. Well, I hate to report my mother's name is not Angela or Owens, so I don't know. They're just putting stuff on the internet. And my mother quite literally never drank growing up. It used to be her thing to have one strawberry daiquiri on her birthday every year at Chili's. That's about the extent of drinking that my mother has done. Again, made up because the goal here is just to smear and libel me so that people don't actually look up the things that I brought to the public sphere. Next up, this guy, Richard Hanania, who, by the way, entire article done about him having been a white supremacist. But let's see what he tweets, because now they're just throwing out anything. Richard tweets, Candace Owens' husband is George Farmer. He says they got engaged 17 days after meeting. Quote, nothing romantic was said at all, end quote. Before that, and they never went on any dates. He says she just had a power. He talks like he was recruiting a kind of Frankenstein. Who is this guy? Oh, I'm my husband's Frankenstein. And they kept up with that, by the way, but then they switched it. So first he was controlling me. Now it got even worse here. They're going to say, and he's abusing me. This guy, Preston, says, Candace Owens is being abused by her husband who belongs to a fringe Nazi version of Catholicism. Hurt people hurt people. Yeah, okay, yeah. I've read so many things about myself on the internet in the last 48 hours. None of them true, of course. They're even going after my father-in-law, that poor guy. I mean, I feel terrible. I mean, he's just has a different perspective, and they're like demanding that he says what his perspective is. Here's the thing. If you are so rabidly Zionist that you cannot accept that someone saying pedophilia is not okay, if you can't accept that blanket statement and you instead attack the person who is bringing the facts to the table, you need to deeply re-examine yourself. Now, to the neocon media, the establishment who has been churning out all of these articles and all of these conspiracies second by second, I want you to know that you're doing a pretty good job of proving my point that Israel has too strong a hold on our media. All right, this is the reason why people don't listen to you anymore. This is the reason why when I do an X Space, you have 1 million people listening live. While these sorts of numbers are not listening to your podcast or not listening to your media anymore, because people just want truth. And they can hear truth. They know when they're listening to truth, and they know when they're listening to lies. So when they're watching you in a panic, trying to convince them that I'm in some sort of a panic or a manic episode, whatever it is that you're trying to sell, whatever psychoanalysis theory you're trying to present, they know that, okay, Candace must have said something that's very true. You know, in closing, I want to say this. I remember listening to Vladimir Putin when he was being interviewed by Tucker, and towards the end of the interview, he sort of remarked on the fact that the world is moving and America just wants to be up to the same old stuff that it's always been up to. And, you know, he's sort of referring to getting involved in wars, trying to pretend that they're keeping their hands clean when they're involved everywhere, trying to force people to be a part of the petrodollar when they were using that to bully people. And he's just like, the world is moving on from this. And I would like to issue that same message to the media. You can't keep doing the same move all the time and expect the public to believe you, okay? You can't call every single person crazy and anti-Semitic. People don't find it to be fundamentally honest, okay? Eventually, you got to get a little more creative. And I see you're trying here, alcohol fetal syndrome. My mom's an alcoholic named Angela. I appreciate the effort, but it's so much more easy if you simply commit yourself to the truth. And that's what I'm doing. And people are responding to that. And that's why, despite the media firestorm and all the craziness, we never got more signups to our local page than when we first began this process. And that's what I'll leave you guys with today. All right, guys, I do want to thank one of our advertisers, Grand Canyon University. That is a private Christian university that's based in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. And they believe that we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. GCU's mission is to empower virtuous action through higher education. By honoring your career calling, you impact your family, your friends, and your community. Change the world for good by putting others before yourself to glorify God. Whether your pursuit involves a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, GCU's online, on-campus, and hybrid learning environments are designed to help you achieve your unique academic, personal, and professional goals. The pursuit to serve others is yours, so find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. It's private, it's Christian, it's affordable. Visit gcu.edu. All right, guys, now let's get into some stories. I am very, very excited about this first story. I was like, I wish you didn't have me blocked. I wish we were friends, because I have this suspicion that despite the fact that Black media tries to present me as someone who hates Black people, I might be the only one that really loves them in the media space because I don't encourage bad behavior. I don't encourage filthy behavior. I'm willing to challenge them to accept that really the media is using them as artists, I'm speaking about, to just promote filth all the time. You know, I go after my community when I see them promoting filth. Okay, because I know they can do better. And I have certain people who I really put pressure on because I believe in them more than maybe they even believe in themselves. And one of these people was Lizzo. Okay. Now, me and Lizzo went at it, and people were basically trying to say that I was fat phobic because I believe Lizzo is incredibly talented. I have some of her music actually on my phone, her Truth Hurts song. I thought that was really fun and catchy. And she came out and everybody loved her. And she's a big girl, but okay, that wasn't the problem. There's other big people that sing. And then they tried to make fat her brand. And I found that to be very problematic because they were not doing that out of love. They were doing that out of hate. And they were doing that out of wanting her to sell something that ultimately harms people. And so I covered that on my show extensively and said, like, Lizzo, you don't need to be this. You don't need to make them make you the fat brand and only offering you money like when you sell being obese and pretend to be happy. Like, you can't feel good with that much weight on you. It doesn't mean that, that you should have to be a size 2. But it also should mean that if you are big, make an effort to be healthy because you want to be around here for a very long time. Well, I guess a prayer was answered because Lizzo posted herself working out. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to speak over it in case you're listening on the podcast. She just writes, if you're reading this, remember that you can do anything you put your mind to. Stay focused. You got this. And she looks amazing. Like, she has lost a ton of weight. I wish I had put a before and after here because she looks so good. And this is what we need to promote, not just in the Black community, but in all communities. We should be promoting like real health, not people trying to tell you that for your mental health, it's okay for you to eat McDonald's breakfast, lunch, and dinner if that's what makes you feel good. Not by trying to make you think that there's glamour, but this, like saying, hey, it doesn't matter where you are or where you're starting, you can make a difference. And she's absolutely right. And I will tell you, I didn't dive into the comments, but I will guarantee you that she's going to get backlash from people who are fat and don't want to change their circumstances. Right? Because she was making it easy for them not to make a change. Making a change can be hard, okay? But when other people are telling you don't have to, you're going to stay in this position of just being a loser. And guess what? Liz woke up and decided, I don't want to be a loser. Well, I want to be the biggest loser. I'm going to lose some weight, right? And she did it, and she looks amazing. And when I see people at the gym who you can tell have just lost recently a ton of weight, I'm their number one cheerleader. I am like, yes, go you. It is hard sometimes. People fall off the wagon all the time, but getting back on it and making an effort is what it's all about. And I will guarantee you, if she's being honest, and maybe she'll come out and she'll say it, she feels a lot better. She feels better about herself. She feels more confident. She's probably breathing better. These are the things, like if you're going to be a celebrity and people are going to idolize you, which is something that I don't really believe in idolizing anyone, biblically speaking, but give them something to idolize, give them something to follow. So I just want to say congratulations to Lizzo. Please unblock me. I feel like now you can't block me, pretend that there's hate between us. It's all love. We can work out together. I love working out. Me and Lizzo working out together, that would be amazing. All right, guys, I just want to remind you this episode is sponsored by Nimi Skincare. You know that's my favorite skincare brand that's out there. They have come to be known as America's skincare company because they formulate and manufacture all of their products here in the USA. I use it. I love it. I would never send women down a path when it comes to skincare. I would never ever send you down a path if I did not actually believe in it. What's great about them is they have luxury skincare, but the prices are affordable. They deliver directly to your door and they cut out the big box retailer middleman. Nimi has everything you need to build an awesome daily skin regimen to cleanse, brighten, protect, and help fight the key signs of aging. Another reason I love Nimi is that they are a Christian-led company that stands firm in their values of faith, family, and freedom. Sign up right now at NimiSkincare.com for a subscription to save 15% on your routine and save an additional 5% if you use code Candace at checkout. Plus, you'll receive a free gift on every third order. If you aren't sure where to start, take their skincare quiz to find your perfect routine for your skin type. That's NIMI skincare.com, promo code Candace today. Okay, as a last item, I hate to say I was right. Actually, no, I kind of like saying I was right. You probably like saying you were right too. But you're supposed to say, because it's proper to say, I hate to say I was right, but I hate to say I told you so. But last week, I can't remember because I'm coming from France, but last week, I think it was, we did an episode where I was speaking about Trump, and I was critical in a kind way of just saying that it feels like, the campaign has lost a little bit of its like, that the sound is like the Trump punch. And I think in the beginning, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just simply because there's a lot going on, first and foremost. Like, Trump survived an assassination attempt. Thank God he literally survived an assassination attempt. But then it started to be like, okay, it's feeling a little DeSantis-y in the way that I just want someone to just unleash Trump. Like, we've only a few weeks before November. And some people were mad at me for saying that. And then, I'm not kidding, within 48 hours, a massive announcement came out of the Trump campaign. So that he was firing people and he was rehiring people. And one of the people that he rehired is Corey Lewandowski. He is now back on board of the Trump campaign. And this is a fantastic announcement. Actually, I think Corey Lewandowski, I actually went fishing with him once. He's a great fisherman. He's also very funny, great sense of humor. But Corey Lewandowski, I'm pretty sure, actually wrote the book called Let Trump Be Trump. And that's what I said on the episode, not knowing that Corey Lewandowski was being brought back into the ring. So it's just a reminder for you guys, by the way, like, when you have this reaction, when someone's being says something critical, because some people in the comments were like, oh, how dare you criticize him? It's like, guys, if you want him to win, we have to be constructive in our criticisms, which means we don't want to send people away, but we want to, nudge and say, hey, I'm realizing people are they're not excited right now. And they're not excited because they're not seeing you be you. What always excites people the most about Trump is when he's just unleashed on the world. I actually missed his X space as I was overseas and traveling. And then right after, when it was just him talking to Elon, everyone was like, Trump, it's Trump without, any screeners, without a screen in between him. And so the Let Trump Be Trump feeling is back. I am very excited about that. I think the two people that they fired, by the way, was Tim Murtaugh, who was the communications director on Trump's 2020 campaign. Oh, wait, no, sorry. They're bringing Tim back. Pardon. Tim Murtaugh is coming back. He was the communications director on Trump's 2020 campaign. And also Alex Pfeffer and Alex Bruesewitz, who were top officials on the Trump-aligned MAGA Inc. super PAC. Bruesewitz is known for having a wide following on social media. I've met him as well. I mean, it's just returning to that 2015 energy. And like I said, it's that startup energy, which is when the media was like, we're not into you. And the big donors were like, nope, no, thank you. It can't be you. We're going to either get behind Hillary, ridiculous. And Trump was he just basically had himself and people that really believed in him and the small pocket donors. So hopefully that energy is going to be back. We will continue to monitor it in a constructive way. All right, guys. Now it is first and foremost time for me to tell you about American financing, because I know that there are so many people that are stressed because of their monthly income. This doesn't seem to cover the bills. And if you're feeling that way, just know that you're not alone. Most Americans feel this way. I feel that everything's getting more expensive. People are reaching more and more for credit cards to cover the basics like childcare, insurance, power, food. It's tough. And if you're feeling this way, you should call my friends at American Financing, because they are helping hardworking Americans just like you tap into their home equity to pay off their high interest debt and even create some additional savings to be ready for whatever life throws your way. With interest rates dropping, a company like American Financing that never charges any upfront or hidden fees is the perfect partner to help you get into a better financial position. Their consultants are saving homeowners over $800 a month on average. Waiting is not an option, so you should call today, and it may even allow you to delay 2 mortgage payments. The number is 800-795-1210. That's 800-795-1210. Or you can just visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. It's your favorite time of the day. It's comment time. Should I look in the chat? Is it crazy? Are we going totally nuts in the chat? I'm sure there's people throwing down Israel flags for no reason, just because they think everything that they read is true. Oh my gosh, Skylar, Mark, I'm getting the spinny wheel of death right now. I can't even read the comments. Hold on, let me see if I can get out of it. Okay, you're gonna have to add them, I think, to the document, because I'm, the rainbow wheel of death, Okay, well, I still cannot even read any of these comments. What I'm going to do is actually just have one of you guys bring me a laptop live on the show. Dun, dun, dun. I always knew something like this would happen. I'm being hacked. Somebody's going to have to bring me a laptop so I can still read your guys' comments, because I don't know how I got this spinning wheel of death. It feels so wrong. What have I done wrong here? I'm going to blame this on Bibi Netanyahu. All right. Thank you so much, Skylar. Now I've got your comments. You've added them to this doc.
Yep.
Okay. Oh my, you're not going to believe it. It just updated. Now the doc is working, so you can have your computer back if you'd like to.
Oh, nice, thank you.
All right, here is what we have coming up. This person writes, and I'm going to read some super chats first. When are you going to look for the Mexican, Candace Owens, to help represent the Hispanic community? Have plenty of white conservative political influencers and plenty of black conservative influencers. Help us find our Hispanic political influencer. You know who I love? I love Anna Paulina. I've known her for years. I know she's in Congress, and I'm so happy that she made it there because she's tough as nails, and she is a great influencer, and she has been voting and doing really great work. Zadeh writes, Candace, thank you so much for being the voice of reason and truth next to Tucker and a few others. You have the correct ideas about the world and how to live in it. Esteban Martinez writes, roughly 460,000 children go missing each year in America. Can you look into how many have gone missing based on race? How many children and 9 and under are either white, black, Latin, Asian, or Jewish? Yes, we have an issue with children going missing. We have an issue with pedophilia, and no person should feel that they can't talk about that or believe that it's some sort of a conspiracy or that it's a race-based conspiracy. And that actually gives them more power when they can keep us warring with one another. Vado writes, Christus Vincit, Christus Regnat, Christus Imperat. How is my Latin doing, by the way? I try every mass to pick up more and more words, but yes, all of that. LA Wizard writes, do you feel the music industry died when Michael Jackson died? That is a great question, and we should do an entire episode on Michael Jackson because my mind is blown by the fact that everything we were told about him was made up by the media because they didn't want to allow him to win. He was fighting for control of Sony and his catalog, and I believe also the Beatles catalog, and then they suddenly said he was a pedophile, and then he suddenly died in a sudden overdose, and then the people he was fighting took all of his music. It's a really sick story, and we should talk about that. Crazy Chris writes, if they recoil at things you say, there must be truth there somewhere. Love you, sis. Christ is king. I totally agree. Christ is king. And I saw one person that was like, oh, when she says Christ is king, now it's proven it's just a battle cry against the Jews. What are you talking about? When I say Christ is king, I want to be very clear. Christ is truth. Okay. And truth is king. And at the end of the day, he is the light, he is the way, and he is the truth. He is the life and the way and the truth. And if I am going to live my life, I want to live it honestly, and I want to continue to follow truth no matter where it takes me, because to follow truth means to follow Christ. Kristen Delgado writes, can you please do an episode on Avicii's demise? Weird, Kristen, because somebody else just asked me about that on Minect. And yes, there's something there, by the way. Another book that you guys should read that you've heard me talking about, if you're one of the people many people that's supporting us on Locals, you know, I dropped my book list on there. And just to be clear, that book, Hollywood Babylon, completely blew my mind. Like, yes, they have been murdering people in Hollywood for a very long time. And everything Kanye was telling me, fact-checked, true. There's a whole book on it. And it's crazy that they banned this book by Kenneth Anger, Hollywood Babylon. And it takes you into detail about these tactics, these pedo tactics I'm talking about, where they would commit an act of pedophilia and then use the press to just basically call whoever was trying to speak out. They would call them crazy, or they would call them a drug addict, and they have not updated their tactics at all. So you'll see that in the comments. You're like, take your psych medicine. I'm like, okay, pedo, you know, Candace, you're crazy. You're unhinged. Okay, pedo. That's what I literally say in my head. I'm like, you are literally using psychology that was created by a pedophile to protect pedophiles. And what does that make you? And so anyways, that book is absolutely fascinating, and it will show you that a lot of people who knew things about the industry and tried to speak out kind of got killed. And then the media covered it up by claiming that they were on drugs or that they were wacko jacko. It's just not going to work on me, guys. You got to try something else. And that's why they're clawing at the family. Like, I mean, my family life is great. Like, I just love my husband to pieces. And on top of that, like, they even tried to use my father-in-law, who's so pro-Israel. Like, I mean, but they're putting pressure on him to reaffirm his support to Israel. It's like, leave him alone. I love my father-in-law. Like, I'm so blessed that even when we have differences in opinion, I just got back from vacation with him, that we can just have those conversations and remind people that anything that tries to threaten the family is demonic. It is demonic. The media is a demonic entity, in my view, that they would even try that, like trying to claw through and pretend George is abusing me and I'm his Frankenstein, that his father hates me. It's like, what is wrong with you guys? you really need Christ. That's what I want to say. Some people really need Christ, and the media is godless. And to learn the history of the media by reading Hollywood Babylon, it will really fascinate you, but it will also sharpen you. You'll see that it is the reason why I am so relaxed and confident and why I keep going, because I know their tactics. I've studied their history now, and I know what kind of demons we're fighting. And these are not demons that are going to absorb me. Anyway, guys, that is all that I am going to say. In the live chat, you guys are saying, call out evil, free God's land. Greetings from Germany. Christ is God. God does not give you the spirit of fear. God bless you, Candace. Amen. We all need Christ. For you guys asking for the book list, people that are on locals.com. If you just go to locals.com and find me, I publish the book list there. And by the way, thank you guys for continuing to donate to the show and keeping us independent despite all the smears and all the lies. Like I said, I'm just tremendously grateful to you. You're the reason that I get to wake up happy every single day and know that nothing they say is ever going to land. All right, guys, that is all. We will see you tomorrow. And just so you know, I have a massive surprise for you this week. If you think they were outraged this weekend, they're going to lose their freaking minds. I can't tell you what. You just got to wait. It's going to happen this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow.